All right, are we on? There we go. All right, everyone, welcome. Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, September the 2nd, 2025. At 5:30 p.m., we're going to call our regular meeting of the Wake County Board of Education to order. I want to welcome those of you who are watching at home and those of you who are joining us here in person this afternoon. Wake County Board of Education meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the official business of the school system. And the public is cordially invited to attend board meetings to observe the board as it conducts its official business. Persons who willfully interrupt, disrupt, or cause disturbances at an official meeting may be directed to leave by the presiding officer. Members of the audience should show respect for speakers by refraining from loud comments or other disruptions. Disruptions by any person or persons of a public meeting will be subject to action in accordance with General Statute 143 through 1817. I note that we do have a quorum, and so all of those who are able, I ask you to join us and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is approval of the meeting agenda. Before we get started, I wanted to ask, is there any motion to amend tonight's meeting agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Vice Chair Swanson?
I make a motion that we amend the agenda to add the HR recommendations to consent.
Thank you. Is there a second to Vice Chair Swanson's motion? All right. So this will amend our agenda to take the items recommendations for administrative appointments and recommendations for employment that would be scheduled for after closed session and move them onto our agenda as an action item immediately after approval of the meeting agenda. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the meeting agenda has been amended. All in favor of adoption of the amended agenda? Well, we need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion from Mr. Hershey to adopt the amended agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Dr. Ing. Oh, I'm sorry. The motion is from Vice Chair Swanson with a second from Dr. Ing. I was looking this way and listening that way. All in favor of adopting the amended agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Tonight's amended meeting agenda has been adopted, and with that, the first item will be adoption of the recommendations for administrative appointments and recommendations for employment that were previously reviewed in closed session. Is there a motion at this time? We have a motion from Vice Chair Swanson and a second from Mr. Hershey to adopt the recommendations for administrative appointments and the recommendations for employment previously reviewed in closed session. All in favor of adoption of the recommendations, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Those have been adopted, and we'll proceed with the rest of our agenda as scheduled. The first item on the amended agenda after adoption of those HR recommendations is an information item from Academic Achievement. And so I am happy that we'll be able to welcome up, I believe, Mr. Jeremy Tucker, who will be presenting on our Arts in Education Week. And immediately following Mr. Tucker's presentation, we'll move to an action item about said proclamation. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair Haggerty, Superintendent Taylor, members of the Board of Education, Chief Academic Officer Hill, and while I can still say this, Assistant Superintendent Drew Cook. This past April, the Wake County Board of Education endorsed its support for WCPS's Arts Education Framework, a significant step forward in expanding arts education and arts extracurricular opportunities for students across every region and area of our district. Your action affirmed the essential role that arts play in shaping not only the academic success of our students, but also their creativity, resilience, and engagement as citizens. This evening, I'm honored to present the 2025 National Arts and Education Week Proclamation. This proclamation directly reflects the vision of our arts education framework, reinforcing our commitment as a district to ensuring that every child in Wake County has access to the arts. I'm often reminded that our communities aspire for all schools to be AAA schools, thriving in academics, athletics, and the arts. National Arts and Education Week is recognized across the country as a time to celebrate the transformative power of the arts, to advocate for their access, and to shine a light on the ways in which dance, music, theater, media arts, and the visual arts empower students to thrive. With your continued leadership, we can ensure that every student in Wake County has meaningful opportunities to participate in the arts, both inside and outside of the classroom. I'm honored to read the 2025 National Arts and Education Week proclamation. I'll pause afterwards for any comments or questions, and as outlined in the action section of the agenda, we'll seek for your approval of the proclamation and look forward to celebrating big time next week.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. So at this time, I'm sorry?
I don't have to read.
No, I was just saying, at this time, do board members have access to the proclamation that Mr. Tucker is going to read? All right. So we're going to be following at home, but go ahead, Mr. Tucker.
All right. Whereas arts education encompassing dance, music, theater, media arts, literature, design, and visual arts is a core academic subject and an essential pillar of a complete and balanced education for every child. And whereas arts education equips students with critical thinking and problem-solving skills, sparks imagination and creativity, fosters discipline and collaboration, provides meaningful ways to communicate and express ideas, and cultivates cross-cultural understanding, thereby supporting personalized pathways to academic success across all areas of learning. And whereas the Wake County Public School System's arts education framework ensures equitable access to arts education and extracurricular arts opportunities for all students. And whereas Wake County Public School System affirms arts education as a core subject area within its strategic plan, recognizing its indispensable role in developing the whole child and advancing academic excellence. And whereas success in today's economy demands that students skillfully integrate words, images, sounds, and movement to communicate effectively. And whereas the arts are woven into the fabric of American life, strengthening communities, enriching culture, and contributing to the vitality of our nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Wake County Public School System's Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools recognize that September 7th through 13th, 2025 as National Arts and Education Week, and encourage all citizens to engage in and fully support quality arts education programs for children and youth.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. And so at this point, a resolution has been presented to us for our consideration. The next item on our agenda is an action item for immediate consideration of the resolution. Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Tucker, or is there any discussion or debate as to the resolution? Mr. Hershey.
I just want to thank you for being here. Arts are such a critical piece of what Wake County Public Schools do, and critical in our society, that we continue to support them in any way we can. And I particularly love the language that we're using in this and strongly support it.
Thank you, Mr. Hershey. Dr. Ng.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tucker. Just thinking back when I was in third grade, coming to the United States, not knowing a word of English, art was my channel for expression, and I was able to go to an adjacent middle school to get the art class that they didn't have at the elementary level, and it was a way for me to really get involved and get integrated into the school system. So this is a great asset for our school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Ms. Rice?
Board Chair, Mr. Tucker, I absolutely adore the amazing things that you do, how you always create a space for board members to participate with students in a creative space, in a creative way. You know, I enjoyed the play so very much. I don't even know, but I think you may have already registered me for the event, and going, because you know I'm going to show up and I'm going to be there. And so I just want to say thank you a lot. This was a lot of what I did as a kid here in Wake County, and to see it still being carried on 30-plus years, 40-plus years later, to a higher level. I'm so excited that you're at the helm of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Any other comments from any board members? Ms. Caulfield.
I just want to repeat what everybody here says and feels, and I think it's really important for our students to be able to express themselves, and it's programs like this that actually brings our families and our community together, and it's just a vital part of who our kids are and who they grow up to be, and it shapes them, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Chair Swanson.
I move that we adopt the National Arts and Education Week proclamation.
So, second.
All right. There has been a motion for approval of the requested resolution, which you've all heard read by Mr. Tucker. I heard a second from Ms. Rice. All in favor of adoption of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The resolution has been adopted. Thank you, Mr. Tucker.
Thank you.
All right. And happy National Arts and Education Week. All right, at this point on our agenda, we will move to the public comment portion. Speakers commenting on items on tonight's agenda will be heard before speakers commenting on topics off agenda. All other speakers will be heard in order of their sign-up. And again, we do give priority to students that have come out to speak with us tonight. And if you do need to assist a student with the podium, you may do so. Other than assisting the student to get started, only the person speaking at the podium will be able to stand. All other attendees that are not speaking should remain seated. Concerns related to personnel issues or student matters may be addressed through applicable WCPSS personnel, the grievance policy, or other policies. If you've come with such a matter, before you leave, stay for a minute. We might have someone on staff that might be able to help you to resolve your issue tonight before you leave. In the interest of maintaining civility and decorum, speakers are encouraged to address their comments up front to the board and must refrain from personal attacks and insults directed at the board, individual board members, staff, and especially members of the public. It takes a lot of courage to get up and speak before a public body like this. Whether you agree or disagree, please remain quiet and give your courtesy and your attention to the speaker. Individuals who are at the podium, please remain at the podium for the duration of your speaking time. If you have any materials you wish to share with the board, please give them to Mr. Malone, our board attorney, sitting here on the end, either before or after your comments, and then that way the time it takes to do that won't come out of your allotted speaking time. During public comment, you can speak for up to 3 minutes. The microphones at the podium are adjustable. Your time will begin once you begin to speak, and the green light will appear. When that green light turns yellow and you hear an audible tone, that's a signal that you have 30 seconds remaining in your time. When you hear the tone a second time and that yellow light turns red, that means your time has expired, and we will call the next speaker up to the podium. So please respect that speaking limit. And so I think we will begin tonight. I think we have some student speakers. Let me pull up our agenda. And I see that our first speaker is a student, Luca Ciavalli, and Luca will be followed by Urvi Kulkarni. Good evening, Luca.
Good evening. Good evening, members of the school board, teachers, and students. My name is Luca, and I'm a 5th grader at Harris Creek Elementary. Tonight, I'm speaking for myself, my classmates, and for a teacher who means so much to us, Miss Woodruff. Miss Woodruff is more than just an EL teacher. She is a guiding light in our school. Her classroom is a place where we feel safe, inspired, and exciting excited to learn. The love and dedication she pours into her teaching has created a bond with each of us that cannot be easily broken. Can you imagine our school without her laughter, her encouragement, and her unwavering support? We simply can't. She has also made our classroom a family. Part of that family includes our pets, Tremulin, our bearded dragon, and Prince, our hamster. They are not just pets in cages. They are part of our daily lives. They bring us joy, teach us responsibility, and make learning fun. If Miss Woodruff leaves, they will go with her, and the warmth and uniqueness of our classroom will be gone too. Every day, Miss Woodruff goes above and beyond to ensure we thrive. She makes learning engaging and accessible, adapting her lessons to meet the diverse needs of each student. Her passion for teaching has ignited a love for learning in many of us, and that should be cherished, not discarded. I know the reason she is being moved is because she is newer to Wake County. But is that really fair? Should a teacher be taken from a student just because of the date she was hired, and not because of the difference she makes every single day? Rules don't like this measure the love, the encouragement, and the inspiration a teacher gives to her students. Miss Woodruff makes learning possible for kids who struggle, and exciting for kids who already love school. She teaches every one of us in the way we need, and she makes us want to be better students. If she is displaced, Harris Creek won't just lose a teacher. We will lose the heart of our classrooms. So tonight I ask you, please let Miss Woodruff stay. Let us keep our pets, our joy, and the relationships we built. Let us show that teachers are valued for the way they change lives, not for how long they've been here. Please remember what it felt like to have a favorite teacher, one who inspired you and believed in you. That's what Miss Woodruff is to us. Please don't take her away. Thank you.
Thank you, Luca. Our next speaker will be Hervé Kulkarni, who will be followed by Arush Kulkarni.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Urvi Kulkarni. I'm a junior at Heritage High School, and I'm here with my cousin Arush Kulkarni, and we're co-founders of a business called, or a startup called Haven LLC. We recently competed in the International Leadership Foundation and NCAAC business competition, where we met the amazing Dr. Ng, who asked us to come and speak about our project today. We're currently developing our product, which is essentially an SOS bracelet that helps students and people in general contact emergency services with just a press of a button. And some reasons that we came up with this idea in general was because of issues we saw rising in the community. The first one, and the most important one, being public safety. According to a 2024 report by Tulane University, between 2023 and 2024, 26% of U.S. adults, or 68 million people, reported to claims of sexual harassment or sexual assault. Now, these rising public safety concerns are obviously very important, especially for students who might face similar concerns. And while products like ours already exist, there's a very large affordability gap. For example, a very similar company, Invisaware, that does safety bracelets as well, their safety bracelets retailed at $199, which is very expensive and unrealistic for students and people of a low income status in general. And finally, or perhaps the most relevant concept, or the most relevant topic here, is because of the recent NC law that was passed, that I'm sure everyone knows, was that from this year, cell phones are restricted to use in schools, especially during classroom time. And our bans help maintain safety without having to compromise without having to compromise the issues that are posed by having a cell phone in your phone. And I'm sure my cousin is the next speaker, so I was trying to keep this quick, and he will tell you guys more about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, as introduced, our next speaker will be Arush Kulkarni, and that will conclude our student speakers.
Hello, members of the board. I wanted to add on to what my cousin, Urvi Kulkarni, said. My name is Arush Kulkarni. I'm a sophomore at Heritage High School, and I want to talk to you about how Haven works. So Haven is a discrete wristband which is designed for safety, and with the press of a hidden SOS button, it instantly alerts preset contacts for emergency responders. Unlike a phone, it's always accessible, even when devices are restricted. And a few features that we would like to incorporate in the future are fall detection, silent distress signals, so students have multiple layers of protection built right in. A few applications for school is that it can be part of everyday safety protocols. Just like we practice fire drills, students can use Haven for personal emergencies. It's especially useful during field trips, after-school activities, or athletic events where supervision is limited. With North Carolina's upcoming phone restrictions in classrooms, Haven bridges the gap, keeping learning distraction-free while also giving students a reliable lifeline in critical moments. Moving on to the benefits for parents and students. Parents get peace of mind knowing their child has a non-distracting safety tool, and students can feel protected without carrying an obvious or expensive device like an Apple Watch. Because it's discreet, students can focus on school and activities without the stigma of carrying a safety device. This creates a stronger trust between families and schools, showing that they both care equally about safety and learning. Moving on to the broader community impact. The benefits don't just stop at school doors. Haven can support safety at concerts, college campuses, and even for seniors who may be at risk for falls. For Wake County, adopting Haven shows leadership and innovation in student safety, and it also builds a culture where safety isn't just a reaction to emergencies, but something we plan and protect every day, starting with our schools and spreading into the broader community. Phones may be limited in schools, but student safety should never be. Haven provides a simple, discreet, and affordable solution that aligns with state law and Wake County's commitment to student well-being. As students ourselves, we know firsthand the importance of feeling safe, and we believe Haven is a tool that can make that possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Arush. That'll conclude our student speakers, and the next speaker it will be from our list of on-agenda speakers will be Leslie O'Connor, who will be followed by Jamie Boos.
Good evening, Chair, members of the school board, staff, and families of Wake County students. My name is Leslie O'Connor, and I'm both a graduate of the Wake County Public School System and a proud parent of two thriving elementary-age daughters. Tonight is all about choices, and the responsibility falls on you to make an important one that impacts the students, teachers, staff, and families of two elementary schools in northern Wake County. I believe that this board directed staff to provide opportunities for budget reduction. And I believe the staff came back with what they thought was the best options that were available through school choice. I also believe that the board has to make the decision and needs to make the right choice to keep both North Forest Pines and Pleasant Union year-round, whether they be multi-track or year-round schools or single-track schools. I was a student at Henry Adams Elementary when Westlake Middle School first opened in the early 90s, and the idea of a choice for parents for schools was first introduced. Flash forward 30 years to when my husband and I had a choice of where we were to send our oldest daughter to school. We live in a cul-de-sac that has 8 houses with kids enrolled in 6 different schools. Those are private, they're charter, and they're public schools. Our calendars are traditional, they're modified year-round, or they're multi-track year-round. Sure, scheduling a neighborhood barbecue gets a little difficult sometimes, but that's okay. The difference is we have a choice in where our children attend school. Our families have adapted to our calendar, our teachers have adapted and are thriving in their classrooms with kids, and our community businesses that provide childcare during track out have adapted to our calendar. We ultimately chose to send our kids to a year-round school, and the North Forest Pines community has embraced us with open arms. Specifically related to North Forest Pines, if we wanted our kids to go to a traditional calendar, we could send them right across the bus loop and they could go to Forest Pines Elementary. But we chose to have that choice. I'm genuinely struggling with the idea of having 2 traditional calendar elementary schools that share a wall with each other. It just does not make sense. The choice to have a traditional calendar at one school and a year-round calendar at the other school is the only one that makes sense. With the proliferation of charter schools in northern Wake County, I fear that if North Forest Pines and Pleasant Union are placed on a traditional calendar, more local tax dollars may be siphoned from the Wake County Public School System budget and sent to charter schools for per pupil allotment so that families can keep a year-round schedule even if it's modified. Allow us to keep the choice for our children and where we wish to send them to school and our tax dollars in Wake County Public Schools by exercising your choice to keep our schools year-round. And Luca, I really hope your teacher gets to stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jamie Boos, who will be followed by Katie White.
My name is Jamie Boos, and I spoke with you last month about the proposed calendar change at PUE, and I appreciate the sincere conversations that we had after that meeting. Again, this would fundamentally change our school's family structure and culture that we've cultivated over the years throughout our community. Over 550 students and their families and 70 staff members and their families are going to be affected by our decision today, your decision today. And I have 3 points. If PUE changes to a traditional calendar, every staff member will be moved from a 12-month pay schedule to a 10-month pay schedule. Over a dozen positions will have their salary significantly reduced regardless of the pay schedule. And while that would happen even if we went to a single-track schedule, 12 paychecks would decrease the financial impact for over a dozen positions. These positions are filled by real people with real families, and many of them bring their own children to PUE to learn because of the community that I mentioned earlier. We all understand the budget restraints that the board faces, and it's impossible to work in public education and not be aware of the many budget issues that you face. However, putting the meager amount of money that will be saved by this challenge above the livelihoods of the people and families that the school and culture and everyone that will be impacted is not the example that Wake County should be setting. Please hear our voices. There are more financial solutions to improving our budget other than the calendar change proposed. If these options have not been presented to the board, I urge you to please consider them before voting on a change that affects so many. For example, we have a single bus route that only serves 6 students, and in fact, none of our buses are full. Combining routes saves a considerable amount of money, and it saves funds that impact far less families than the proposed solution. We can't be the only school in this predicament. A problem that we cannot solve, though, is that PUE will most certainly lose students to charter schools and private schools that have more flexible schedules should we go traditional. We could lose more money with students leaving than we would save by this change, and it's not worth the risk. Finally, as noted by our special education team, students with disabilities thrive on routine and structure. The consistent schedule of a year-round school minimizes disruptions and supports behavior and emotional stability. This consistency reduces anxiety, helps with transitions, and creates a sense of security that fosters learning. This is true for our K-5 students with services as well as our pre-K and CCK students. This allows for timely interventions, enrichment opportunities, and therapy services without long gaps in support. This ongoing access is essential for student growth and success. In conclusion, while we ideally prefer to remain unchanged on a multi-track year-round schedule, if a change has to be made today, please adopt a single-track 4 schedule for our school.
Thank you. All right. Our final speaker on our agenda topics tonight is Katie White. Following Ms. White, we will move to our off-agenda speakers. Oops. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Katie White, and I am a parent of a kindergartner and a first grader and a PTA member at North Forest Pines Elementary. I've had the privilege of speaking with some of you in person and electronically over the past month, and I really appreciate your willingness to listen to parent, faculty, and community concerns and input. I'm here to continue to urge you to preserve the year-round calendar at North Forest Pines and Pleasant Union Elementary schools. These schools have wonderful cultures and are doing great work for our students and families. While the culture of a school is holistic by its very nature and a product of the work of many caring individuals, including staff, families, students, and community members, the year-round calendar is a component that really strengthens our school culture. It reduces burnout and learning loss over long breaks. It offers many families the opportunity for better balance between their students' academic pursuits and their family life. A single-track year-round calendar could offer the same fiscal prudence as the traditional calendar, and it would help preserve the culture that has drawn so many families, like mine, to North Forest Pines. Families in North Carolina have many options when it comes to picking a school for their children, and providing viable year-round choices for parents will help them choose Wake County Public Schools for their students. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. We'll now move to our off-agenda speakers. Our first off-agenda speaker tonight will be Joseph Deaton. He'll be followed by Colleen Miller.
Great progress has been made filling teacher vacancies in difficult conditions. Policy 7100 lists qualifications to consider, including the applicant's references, but does not have specific instructions. This is troubling because there have been so many instances nationwide, including Wake County, when public schools have failed to vet those who pose a danger to students. NBC reported that the alleged killer of the parents who were protecting their daughters in that Arkansas park in July had just been hired for his 4th teaching job in the 4th different district in 4 years. Now, did those conducting the hiring process for the last 3 jobs investigate to find out why he left previous districts and whether there were any reported boundary crossing or suspicion of grooming? NBC reported that in his first job, he gave treats and special lunches just for girls, 2 of the boundary crossing behaviors that I listed last time. He also played tag at recess just with girls, which is one I hadn't heard before. Instead of firing him for boundary crossing and suspected grooming, the district said it was for poor classroom management and favoritism. By that choice of words, the district allegedly evaded state and federal law and did not report the reason for his termination to the Texas DPI, and therefore he was not detected in background checks. But that's no excuse for later districts failing to call his past principals, colleagues, and references and asking direct questions. If NBC could find out about this guy, why didn't the schools? This kind of thing keeps happening. It's as if school districts haven't learned anything from all the abuse scandals. The first thing that needs to be done is revise Policy 7100 to include details on properly vetting job applicants. Everybody knows how desperate we are to hire people, but the consequences are just too severe if a predator slips through screening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deaton. Next up is Colleen Miller, who will be followed by Eileen Allen.
Can we switch up? She go first and then me?
I don't mind.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Board. I'll be reading the sodomy rape of a child that was board approved for the 10th grade curriculum, the novel The Kite Runner. Hassan laid with his chest pinned to the ground. Kamal and Wally each gripped an arm twisted and bent at the elbow so that Hassan's hands were pressed to his back. Asif was standing over them, the heel of his snow boots crushing the back of Hassan's neck. "Fine," Asif snapped. "All I want you weaklings to do is hold him down. Can you manage that?" They nodded and looked relieved. Asif knelt behind Hassan, putting his hands on Hassan's hip and lifted his bare buttocks. He kept one hand on Hassan's back and undid his own belt buckle with his free hand. He unzipped his jeans. He dropped his underwear. He positioned himself behind Hassan. Hassan didn't struggle. He didn't even whimper. He moved his head slightly and caught a glimpse of his face. I saw the resignation in it. It was a look I had seen before. It was a look of the lamb. I turned away from the alley. From just around the corner, I could hear Asaf's quick, rhythmic grunts, and that was as close as Hassan and I ever came to discussing what had happened in the alley. I thought he might burst into tears. I pretended I hadn't heard the crack of his voice, just like I pretended I hadn't seen the dark stain in the seat of his pants. Of those tiny drops that fell between his legs and stained the snow black. Mark Twain says humans are the only animals that blush and also need to. How hard and unresponsive our conscience as a culture, as school board members, as parents, as students, that we have become. When I was a sophomore in high school in the 60s, 1960 to be exact, the nation was appalled by the gyrations of Elvis. At what point do we feel the blush of shame at our anesthetizing the conscience of our children? Thank you.
Next, we'll go back to Ms. Miller, and then Ms. Miller will be followed by Rachel Chivali.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing us to change the order. I was speaking on the same topic at the last school board meeting, and I ran out of time, so I kind of want to continue with that. I think I told you, I read The Kite Runner about 20 years ago, and I found it to be, even just hearing that again, what she read is deeply troubling, and it was so dark for me, and I think about the potential for psychological harm for our students that read that book. And this book was included in the English curriculum at Panther Creek High School last school year. A parent did challenge the book, but a Wake County Educational Committee denied her request and to have the book removed. And members of this board rejected the parents' appeal to remove it from the curriculum. So I think I found that disturbing that a book, when there's so many good books out there, that this one was chosen. And although some may advocate for The Kite Runner as its focus on culture and anti-bullying themes, the content to me seems too dark for high school students. And actually it was too dark for me. I still shiver and shudder when I hear that book read. It lacks any redeeming narrative, and the conclusion leaves readers with a profound sense of hopelessness. And I don't think we want our students to feel hopeless, and that book does have that hopeless feeling about it. It's just a dark theme, and I really don't think it's a good one to leave students with. Thankfully, recent legislative changes, the Prevent Sexual Exploitation of Women and Minors Act, will direct local school boards to adopt policies that facilitate greater parental oversight and allow for student exemptions from content that conflicts with personal beliefs. I look forward to seeing the school board adopt policies that comply with the law. In lieu of The Kite Runner, I'd like to suggest a couple of more positive books, and this one is escaping Vietnam. It's Hayan's story, and it was written by a Raleigh resident. This memoir describes a young woman's escape from oppression in the Viet Cong, and she arrives in Raleigh and gets the support she needs, and she achieves the American dream. Another book I suggested last time was I take that back. I did suggest Escaping Vietnam, and I can get you a lot of copies of this book. I know the author. Enduring Freedom is set in the 9/11 post 9/11 era. This novel is is about an American teenager in the Army and an Afghan boy living under Taliban rule. Their friendship and courage is uplifting and inspirational. Let's inspire our youth. Let's inspire our students, not give them a sense of despair. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rachel Chivali, who will be followed by Tara Randall.
Good evening, Superintendent Taylor and members of the board. My name is Rachel Chivali. I'm the parent of a second grader and fifth grader at Harris Creek Elementary. I am here tonight, along with many other families, to ask for your support in protecting two of our school's most qualified and beloved teachers from displacement. This is not simply about numbers, it's about children, families, and the stability of an entire school community. Under current human resources policy, displacement is decided not by teacher quality, credentials, or impact on students, but by hire date. The most recently hired staff member without a break in service is the one who must go, regardless of their effectiveness in the classroom. Because of this outdated policy, Harris Creek is losing two outstanding teachers. Both hold advanced degrees, both have proven their successes with students, and both are deeply trusted by families. Yet they are the ones being forced out. And the impact doesn't stop there. This decision will disrupt 7 entire classrooms. This means numerous students will be shuffled, combined, or assigned a brand new teacher in the middle of the year. Relationships built since July will be broken, trust will be lost, and learning momentum will suffer. I want to highlight especially the current fifth graders. They began kindergarten in the fall of 2020 during COVID, and their entire elementary journey has been shaped by instability, online learning, constant changes, and the challenge of catching up socially and academically. Now in their final year of elementary school, they are once again facing disruption as teachers are displaced and classes are rearranged. These children deserve stability, not more upheaval. In just the past week, parents and students have collected nearly 300 signatures to keep these teachers in place. That should tell you how strong our community feels about this issue and how much support these educators have from families. We know North Carolina already faces a teacher retention crisis. Nearly 1 in 10 left the profession last year. At a time when we should be doing everything possible to keep excellent educators, this policy is pushing them away and destabilizing schools. Parents and staff have raised several other concerns at our school that continue to go unaddressed, issues that affect school climate, student well-being, and teacher support. History shows us that policies must evolve when they no longer serve people equitably. Civil rights protections, IDEA, Title IX, each required change because outdated rules were doing harm. Tonight, Harris Creek families are asking for the same kind of leadership. This HR policy must have once served a purpose, but now it fails to reflect what is best for students, teachers, or schools. We respectfully ask of the board to reconsider the displacement decisions at Harris Creek, update HR policies so staffing decisions reflect teacher quality and student impact, not just hire date. Put children's needs, stability, consistency, and access to the best teachers at the center of every staffing choice. We are committed to working with you, but we can't remain silent while our school community is destabilized in this way. Our kids deserve better, and our teachers deserve the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tara Randall, who will be followed by Becky Luhabs.
Good evening, board members. I'm going to read the letter that I wrote to Dr. Smith about a week ago. My name is Tara Randall, and I'm one of the speech-language pathologists at Harris Creek Elementary in Raleigh. I just found out today, along with many other members of the staff at Harris Creek, that 2 of our teachers are being displaced. Obviously, this is upsetting for the teachers involved and the rest of the staff, but it greatly impacts our students. Harris Creek is a place with a warm, empathetic staff that serves our student population with love and kindness. I have only been at Harris Creek for 2 years, but I have been a speech-language pathologist for 28, and I say with all honesty that Harris Creek is the best school in which I have ever worked. It is really special, in part because of the diversity of the student population. With that diversity often comes fluctuations in student enrollment. Knowing that our school's enrollment ebbs and flows, why wasn't it accounted for when teachers were hired? It is unlikely that Harris Creek's student population will stay at its current number, and I'm concerned about what happens to the students and teachers then. More kids get piled into already overflowing classrooms. Teachers burn out from having to take on even more students and dealing with even more diverse learning styles and behaviors. Help us, please. Our team at Harris Creek has already lost a beloved principal this year. Don't force us to lose more excellent teachers, colleagues, or friends. And just as an example, one of these teachers, both are excellent, but one of the teachers has a student in her class who is selectively mute, and as the speech pathologist, I was called in to help work with this student. And this teacher, at the advice of the student's outside therapist, this teacher has been coming in early several times a week so that the student can become more comfortable with her and begin speaking in her presence. She's not getting paid for that time. She's doing it because she cares about the kids. We need to put people over policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Becky Lou Hobbs, who will be followed by Richard Bridgers.
Hello, I'm Becky Lou Hobbs, and as you guys know, I've had kids in the Wake County Public Schools since 2012, and I myself am a Wake County Public School graduate. On July 29th, HB 805 was enacted, protecting the rights and safety of women and children in North Carolina. This bill accomplishes several things, including recognizing that there are two sexes, male and female, that sex and gender are not interchangeable terms, that the term library book now applies to all print and non-print resources in classrooms. Online access to library catalog must be available on the school's homepage. Schools must provide advanced notice to parents about specific classroom discussions, activities, and assigned readings so the parents have the option to opt out. And also to provide sex-separate spaces for children on overnight field trips and other private spaces. Last month, I asked several questions to the board about this because many of our school policies do not comply. Like, when will the policies be corrected and what steps are taken to bring them into legal compliance? And I saw at the August Policy Committee meeting that a few policies were discussed regarding these changes to North Carolina law. But they didn't address all the requirements set forth in HB 805. First of all, the online catalog access regarding classroom materials. There's a brief mention in the discussion, but there was no plan or timeline. Parents currently have no access at all to what's in the classroom libraries. And then about the online library catalog access, it's supposed to be easily accessible from the school's homepage. Well, I couldn't find any of them accessible on the school's homepage, and they certainly weren't easily found on any school's website. And next, what's being done about all the policies that use phrasing such as race, gender, religion, and so forth? None of those were brought up in the policy committee meeting, but North Carolina law specifically defines that sex and gender are not interchangeable terms. Sex is based on biological fact, gender is based on feeling. So lots of policies need to be addressed with just this basic terminology. Now, I understand from the committee meeting that some of the policies will appear on the next board meeting's agenda for their first reading. And this is a step in the right direction to comply with North Carolina law. But there is still a lot of work to be done. Many critical policies remain untouched, and until they're addressed, the district is not fully compliant with HB 805 and not protecting our children. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker tonight is Mr. Richard Bridges. Again, Richard Bridgers, if Mr. Bridgers is here. All right. If not, that will conclude our public comment period. Thank you all. The next item on our agenda is the consideration of the items on our consent agenda. The chair would request a motion at this time for adoption of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Swanson with a second from Dr. Ng. All in favor of adoption of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda and all of the items on it are adopted. We'll now move into the action item portion of our agenda. The first item up for discussion tonight concerns facilities and calendar conversions for the 27-28 school year. And we'll welcome Mr. Carrozza up to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Staff comes to you this evening recommending a calendar conversion for both North Forest Pines and Pleasant Union Elementary Schools for the 27-28 school year. On June 10th, staff presented their initial recommendation to the board during the Facilities Committee meeting. During the month of July, a thought exchange was launched to obtain feedback from the public. Meetings were held with school staff, and virtual feedback sessions were conducted. On August 5th, staff then presented the feedback collected to the board during the board work session. Calendar conversions are generally recommended to the board as one of our last options to address long-term planning concerns. In this portion of the county, the additional seats that the multi-track year-round calendar provide are no longer needed. Operating a multi-track year-round school costs the district additional dollars. When operating these schools in high-growth areas that allows the district to utilize the additional capacity, cost savings can be realized by not building additional schools. This is not easy, this process. No matter what decision you make tonight, someone will be impacted. Whether it's the future calendar application area changes that were discussed earlier during the annual enrollment plan, whether it's impacts to the capital improvement plan for new or renovated schools, someone will be impacted. To recap, the initial recommendation that staff made was to convert both schools to the traditional calendar. A future calendar conversion for Oakview Elementary has been delayed due to Board Member Mahaffey stepping down. And I just wanted to share that with you before I seek your approval tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrozza. So the recommendation for action or next step is requested approval from the board. So to make sure we're all on the same page, can you specifically state what it is you're requesting of the board tonight?
Staff's recommendation was to convert Pleasant Union Elementary and North Forest Pines Elementary to the traditional calendar.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Board members, you've heard the presentation from Mr. Carrozza. Are there any questions for Mr. Carrozza, or are there any motions at this time? Dr. Ng.
Because I am the District 3 representative of both these schools, I am against the idea of having conversion to a traditional calendar. And I would like to make a motion to convert it to single-track year-round instead.
Okay. Thank you. Hearing a lot of support for that, so I want to make sure before we move forward that I understand the motion. Dr. Ng, your motion is to amend the staff proposal. Is that for both Pleasant Union Elementary and for North Forest Pines?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So board members, you've heard the motion to amend the staff proposal, and I heard a motion from Mr. Ng, and I heard a second from a couple people. We'll go with Ms. Caulfield, and so at this point, does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Ms. Rice.
I do, for discussion, just points of clarity, if I can ask Mr. Carrozza some questions. I just want, for clarity, is it true that converting to traditional saves the district dollars, or will Track 4 do the same?
Track 4 will do the same.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
When it comes to the financial aspect, yes.
All right. Are there any additional questions or anyone else wishing to speak? Ms. Caulfield.
I just wanted to clarify, because I think when we were in our, not work session, we were in our committee, we were saying that it was an option for us to switch. It wasn't as painful to switch the modified Track 4. Okay.
That's correct.
Because that's what I had to note, that's what I thought was a good possibility, and the families that we have heard from, we've gotten a lot of feedback.
Yes.
And for me, I think it's also another point that we do have two schools side by side, that one would be traditional option, one would be at least Track 4, would help the families alleviate some of the struggles that they're going to have. So that's it.
All right. Vice Chair Swanson, did you have any?
My questions were very similar to what Ms. Caulfield had raised, so I don't need to.
Okay, thank you. Coming around to this side, we've heard from Dr. Ng. Do any other board members have any questions or comments? All right. So we have a motion to amend the proposal to change the calendars from a multi-track year-round calendar at the two schools, but to change them instead to a single-track multi-year calendar, a Track 4 calendar.
Yep.
All right. At this point, unless there's anyone else speaking, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion by Dr. Ng, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right.
Very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carrozza.
Take care.
Okay, thank you. The next item tonight on our action agenda is regarding our fund balance appropriation from Jewel and the Altria settlement funds. And it looks like, Mr. Glendenning, will you be presenting to us tonight?
Yes, with some help from my friends.
All right, we see Mr. Cook coming up.
Just waiting for my slides to come up there.
All right.
All right. Good evening, Chair Haggerty, Vice Chair Swanson, members of the board, and Superintendent Taylor. I'm Brian Glendenning. I'm the Director of Health and Physical Education for our district. Tonight, staff is requesting board approval of a fund balance appropriation in the amount of $611,353.62 to support both personnel and non-personnel program activities for the 2025-2026 school year. As you know, vaping continues to be one of the fastest growing health risks facing young people. Students as early as elementary school are being exposed to misinformation, peer pressure, and targeted marketing that makes vaping seem harmless when in reality it has serious consequences for both health and development. With the settlement money, we have a funding opportunity which allows us to provide students with age-appropriate education about the risks of vaping, develop and distribute resources that reinforce healthy choices, offer staff support and training so educators feel prepared to guide conversations and identify warning signs, create meaningful programming that engages students through interactive learning, peer leadership, and prevention campaigns, and finally, open up advocacy opportunities, empowering students to use their voices in shaping a healthier school culture. For brief historical background and context, the Wake County Public School System participated in class action lawsuits against both Altria and Jewel. As a result of these lawsuits, our district will be receiving a total of approximately $5.86 million. Several million have been received by the district already. This funding has provided an opportunity to make meaningful steps to undo the damage caused by the vaping epidemic in our schools and in our community. We've developed a multi-year action plan that will strategically use these funds to support prevention, education, and advocacy efforts. The goal is to protect our students, equip our staff, and rebuild trust by ensuring that this money is directly addressing the harm that was done to our community. There are 8 areas of focus we are using to guide our district to address and undo the damages our community has experienced from youth vaping. On the next slide, I will go through the actions we are taking to address each of these areas. So to make sure those 8 areas are fully addressed, we've identified several actions that will guide how this funding is used. Multiple discussions and collaborative planning sessions have already occurred throughout the spring of 2024 with universities, business partners, and those will be formalized and expanded when funding for the 2025-2026 school year is in place. The first action is in the upper left corner. It is Action 1, Standards Aligned Curriculum with Tiered Support and Progress Monitoring. We will begin vaping education lessons in grade 3, ensuring students receive age-appropriate, standards-aligned instruction. For students who commit tobacco offenses, we will provide tiered support curriculum focusing on education rather than just discipline. All teachers delivering these lessons will receive training, and we will also implement programmatic evaluation to monitor the progress of the initiative. Action 2 is in the right corner. That's cessation treatment. We recognize that many students are already struggling with nicotine addiction and dependence. To support them, WCPS's central office staff and 1 counselor from every school will be trained in strategies for assisting students with vaping cessation. We will also distribute a referral guide to connect students and families with local treatment resources, and central office staff will complete tobacco treatment specialist training to strengthen district-wide expertise. The third action, which is in the bottom right, is district infrastructure. To support this work, we will add several key staff positions. Those positions will be contingent on continued funding. As long as the funding is going, we will be able to continue the staffing. This includes a coordinating position to oversee and manage K-12 curriculum rollout, as well as 2 substance use specialists who will provide staff training and site-based student support to schools. The 4th action on the left, in the middle, is the communications campaign. Once the items I have already discussed are in place, we will invest in a campaign that raises awareness and communicates a strong anti-vaping and anti-tobacco message across the district, reaching students, staff, families, and the wider community. And the final action is action 5 in the bottom left corner, and that is advocacy scholarships. We want to empower our students to be leaders in this effort. We will partner with a scholarship program agency to recognize and reward students who demonstrate a commitment to reducing vaping and tobacco use among their peers. Together, these actions provide the structure, support, and recognition necessary to reverse the harms caused by vaping and build a healthier future for our students. So our timeline and next steps. Our focus is and will continue to be on ensuring an effective and sustainable rollout of this initiative so that students feel and see positive impacts for years to come. We want to move quickly, but we also want to ensure we do so in a way that is most beneficial and long-lasting for our student community. The next important step is the board approval of funding to implement strategies for the 25-26 school year, which is why we are here this evening. Once approved, we will need to formally establish staffing, including 1 coordinating teacher position and 2 substance use specialist positions, to provide leadership and direct support to our school community. Much of that foundational work has already been done throughout the spring, so now the funding will allow us to execute and carry out the logistics involved with posting, interviewing, hiring, and onboarding these new staff. In parallel, we will finalize our service agreements with partner organizations, allowing all planned work to begin in the coming weeks and months. As we plan to do annually, the duration of the funding program, we will provide a comprehensive program update to the board in January of 2026, the work session or student achievement committee regarding the implementation of the actions listed today. So with the background and context in mind, we are requesting board approval of the fund balance appropriation as outlined to support both personnel and non-personnel program activities for the 2025-2026 school year. At this time, I'm happy to provide any additional information or answer any questions as needed.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Glendenning. I know board members have been familiar with the settlement and all the work that we've been doing in this area. You've seen the timeline and the specific proposal for the use of these funds this year. Are there questions for Mr. Glendenning or any comments from board members? Ms. Edmonds.
Thank you. This has been a long time coming, and for those that may not be aware, I'm the board representative for the SHAC, the School Health Advisory Committee, and we've discussed this numerous times. I've seen an iteration of this presentation before, and I just want to thank you for all your work, and it supports our commitment of what we as a board discussed when we got the settlement, that we wanted that money specifically used for this purpose. So thank you to you and your staff. And Chair Haggerty, I'm prepared to make a motion if you're ready to accept.
Please.
I move that we approve the fund balance appropriation for, as stated by Mr. Glendenning, for the purposes stated.
Thank you, Ms. Edmonds. Is there a second for Ms. Edmonds' motion?
Second.
Heard a couple different ones.
You can have it on the list.
All right. Dr. Ng, it's been deferred to you. All right. So we do have a motion from Ms. Edmonds and a second from Dr. Ng. Are there other comments? Vice Chair Swanson, then Ms. Rice.
Thank you. I know when we had this during executive, it was important to the chair and I that we informed the public of what we were doing with this, since the school year is just getting started, and we know that school is a learning environment, and it's important for us to teach and model those behaviors that we want our students to become. And so thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you, Mr. Cook, for your assistance on this. And now it's time for us to get to work to ensure that all students are safe and exercising, doing the healthy things they should be doing. So thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Swanson. Ms. Rice.
Thank you so very much for this presentation. I just wanted to say the components that you put together are absolutely amazing, and one that particularly draws eye to me is the advocacy scholarship. And I would love to be able to see how you could coordinate with the spotlight on students, and that as you find students who are actually doing the work, to encourage students to amplify their voices about not vaping. It would be great to see one of the spotlight awards categories about students who are really doing work around speaking out about vaping, and vaping information and knowledge would be great.
Thank you so much. That's a great idea.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. And Ms. Edmonds, I know with your work on SHAC and some of the affiliated groups will often have an annual like tobacco summit. And now we've moved beyond tobacco to all these other nicotine-containing products. But it would be nice to have more than just that annual reminder of the work that students are doing. If there are other things you could uplift, I think that's a great suggestion.
Yep.
We'll go to Ms. Caulfield.
Thank you. Thank you for all the staff who put this together and the aim and direction that you're taking. I agree, the advocacy scholarship is the one thing that stuck out for me, because I think if you empower our students to be part of the problem, then that we'll see a lot more success with that. And they'll also empower their friends, around them, their peers. The positions that will be terminating, I assumed, but when I was reading that it means it's funded this time, but going forward, we do not have funding for it?
So we have up to $5.86 million, and this year we are asking for $600,000 in change, $630,000, and that funds 3 positions and all of the items that I've mentioned. So long as that money continues to be available, we can stretch out the opportunity for initiatives for those positions to continue, and once that money is exhausted, then those positions would terminate.
So I guess my question was going to be, do we know how long the funds that we receive from the Juul settlement, how long that would last for us to keep this going?
Right now, it would be.
All right. I think we'll hear from Mr. Cook on the issue.
He can probably do as well as I could answering the question. I think so. If 5 to 7 years, I think, is kind of the ballpark to answer your question directly, Ms. Caulfield. And obviously, that will depend on inflation. That will depend on how aggressive we may want to be with other program initiatives. But if you kind of map it out, we're talking about a pretty, relatively speaking, long-term commitment, 5 to 7 years, give or take.
Okay, great, thank you. I'd love to see in the future, going past that we are able to actually incorporate that in our budget, because it's really a health need. It's not really like a want for a special program. But I also wanted to say that I appreciate that the resources for the anti-tobacco and vaping are in there, because if we don't have the resources, it's just a lot of talk, and we all know that teenagers don't always listen. So sometimes if they're not only empowered, but they have things in front of them, it's something for them to use, and I think it's more effective. So thank you. I think it's great.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to add that we know that funding will last for that period of time, 5 to 7 years, but we hope in that 5 to 7 year span we find ways to be able to make these permanent positions. Once we've done the bulk of the work, we may determine that we need maybe 1 fewer staff, but ultimately this is something that we know the board is committed to. So it is about how we identify continuation funding 5 to 7 years from now.
Thank you, Superintendent Taylor. Dr. Rain?
So I think for me the key point is sustainability. And it's not so much, for me, not so much having more or less staff. I think it's more about changing culture and changing the mindset of the students, the kids, because there's always a next thing out there that people are going to be addicted to or want to seek out. I just heard today on the podcast, Kratom. Kratom is the next thing out there, and it's easy to get. So, we need to be aware of what's out there and create a culture that the kids do not seek out these addictive substances. Thank you.
I'm going to use that as a quick kind of follow-up to the previous question. I think ultimately our goal is that in 5 to 7 years, we won't need positions specifically dedicated to this work, right? So that's why the focus up front is on curriculum, on educational awareness, on communications, all of those things. So certainly, we want to be in a position to be able to have that option if we need it, but I think ultimately, we hope to work our way out of the need for that 5 to 7 years from now if this program truly does what we want it to.
Thank you. So just to add on to that, I think it's important that we all recognize the gravity of the health threat that these products do provide. You know, we've always, as long as I've been around, had issues with tobacco use in schools, but the products contained, or the nicotine levels contained in the products by Juul, Altria, and by numerous other manufacturers, many overseas manufacturers, are so far above and beyond what you could find in a pack of cigarettes. The substances are often unmonitored, unregulated. You don't know what is in that product in terms of heavy metals, toxic chemicals, in addition to such a load of nicotine that it overpowers, again, what a child could get from smoking a pack of cigarettes in that time. And nicotine is addictive. So while there is an important mental and social component to trying to interrupt and break that cycle of children starting on these products, experimenting with these products, once they do start, we have to also recognize there's a physical dependency that's created as well. And so that's very tough, very hard to break. And prevention really is our best strategy. And what I really want to commend you gentlemen on, and our nonprofit partners and student partners that have worked on this, is that, you know, all of us at this table have grown up hearing messages about different substances, whether it was the, you know, don't smoke commercials in the 70s and 80s to just say no, you know, in the 80s or 90s. The misinformation that children get today about these products through YouTube videos, influencers, and peers is oftentimes far more influential than anything I can say at the table, you know. And so engaging and activating peers and other students, I really love that strategy, and I think they're going to be some of the most credible and influential with their other peers. So please know that I think you have all of our support for your effort and then the strategies you're employing, and we really do want to hear more progress on this issue as you continue through the year. So we do have a motion on the table. Are there any other comments? If not, Ms. Rice?
Board Chair, the last thing that I would like to say is in reference to part of what you said, and that is you mentioned that you're working with counselors and other staff so that the behaviors or the things that are happening are not so punitive, but more about finding help and support. I just did not know wherein, even within our policies, do we need to change to show a more supportive space about recovery, that recovery is possible, right, with our students, because we're talking about health challenges, we're talking about addictions. And so when we talk about that, even with adults, and then when we talk about it with students, we're talking about resilience. They can be resilient. They can come back. And so you talked about changing culture. And so one of the things that I would love to see us do, Ms. Edmonds, is how do we change the culture of that to a degree by policy that shows other options for our principals, giving them the option, right, to look at other methods versus just saying, no, this is what the policy says I have to do, and showing how do we make recovery possible for students.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. And I think also, I think Dr. Hill over there, I think this is something that, you know, again, our student achievement staff can really work on when we talk about student wellness and how we incorporate resilience and recovery into those policies, and we actually need to be very forward-thinking about that. All right, so if there are no other comments, we do have a motion on the table. At this point, I'll move into a direct vote. All in favor of the fund appropriation from the Altria and Juul funds in the fund balance to fund these programs, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your work. All right, that will conclude the items on our action agenda. So, at this time, we'll move into our final information items, our superintendent and board comments. First, we'll hear from our superintendent, Dr. Robert P. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do think our Harris Creek parents, are you all looking to leave? If you are, that's fine. I mean, you won't, we'll give you an opportunity if you need to leave. Oh, great, he wants to hear me. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tomorrow, the state will release accountability results for districts across North Carolina. These reports are an important measure of how our students are performing, and they help us better understand both where we're succeeding and where we need to do more. You're fine. While I can't share specific numbers before the data is released publicly, I can share that there are many encouraging signs in this year's report. Student proficiency in core subjects has continued to move in a positive direction, reflecting the hard work of our students, our teachers, and our families. Certain grade levels and subject areas have showed clear growth, particularly in math, and we saw continued growth in reading as well. These improvements are important because they tell us what's working and how we can build on that success moving forward. The state accountability results are just one part of the picture, and we know that. By the end of the week, we will share detailed progress reports for every school on our website at wcpss.net/progress reports. So we encourage you to visit that site to see those reports. These reports will include not only test scores, but also information about school climate, demographics, and other key factors that help us understand the full story of teaching and learning in each of our schools. Graduation remains a point of pride for Wake County. Over 12,000 students crossed the stage last spring, and our graduation rate remains among the highest in the state. I think that number was actually 12,601 or 2, but well above 12,000. Looking ahead, we know there's more work to do. Our regional support model, our student-centered learning model, and the daily commitment of our educators are all helping us lay the groundwork for continued progress. And I'm confident that with persistence, collaboration, and focus, we will see even greater growth in the years to come. And I do want to share with our public that this has been a very tumultuous year in education in terms of funding changes, issues with students, and attendance. And our schools have been impacted tremendously, but through all of that, they have shown resilience, and these numbers show that that resilience by both our students and our teachers. And I do want to just share that. I also want to share an exciting opportunity for our high school students. Applications are now open for the WCPSS Art Student Advisory, a leadership group designed to amplify student voice and strengthen our district art initiatives. As members, students will earn volunteer hours for serving in district level arts leadership roles, support and assist with district-wide art events, connect with other student artists across Wake County, attend and experience diverse arts events in our community, and explore college and career opportunities in the arts. Applications are due October the 1st. Students can apply online at wcpss.net/artsadvisory. So I encourage our board, staff, and school leaders to help spread the word about this opportunity so we can continue building strong student leadership in the arts. Finally, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, a time to remind ourselves and our community that hope and healing are possible. This year's theme is Together in Strength, Dignity, Hope, and Purpose. It's important to remember that suicide is preventable and that there are many resources available for anyone in crisis. We know that with the right support, individuals can heal, rebuild, and thrive after even the most difficult crisis. Throughout this month, we will be sharing tips and resources on our Facebook page. I would also like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that there is help available for students and families in need or for anyone concerned about someone at risk. You can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline 24 hours a day. You can also use the Say Something anonymous reporting system to report any concern you may have about yourself or a loved one. While anyone can use this app, students and staff at our middle and high schools have been trained on its use and should be familiar with the help available through the system 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And I do want to add that we are doing the training with the sixth graders this year who will be new to the app, and the refresher trainings for 7th through 12th grade. Students and families should also feel comfortable reaching out to their school counselor, psychologist, or social worker. Supporting the mental health needs of our students remains a top priority, so please help us spread the word about resources available, and don't hesitate to reach out if you or someone you know is in crisis, because above all, no one should feel they have to struggle alone. No one. There is help and there is hope for everyone. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll yield back to you.
So, Dr. Taylor, that was pretty much what I was going to say, so. All right. Well, there are a few things that I will add in my comments tonight, and but I do want to lift up your remarks, especially on mental health this month. But first, as we do start a new traditional school year, I encourage everyone, parents, staff, and students, to work together to understand the new mobile phone policy that is in place. Make sure that everyone is on the same page, understands it. So far, we've gotten good reports back in from our schools. Even our older students, our high school students that are oftentimes very dependent on these devices, have been noticing an improvement in their school culture already. That's just anecdotal, but it's some very good feedback coming in that's consistent with what we have seen in some other districts. But making sure you know and you understand the policy is probably the first step everyone should take. And also, related to health, it's an important time to I'd like to encourage families to learn about the importance of student nutrition going into this year, and specifically understanding what is available through the schools in terms of access to healthy meals and nutrition. Sometimes these are things we take for granted. We don't always know what could be out there, what is offered, but we have a wonderful child nutrition team. They're prepared to talk to you, get feedback on the meals that are served to your students. They frequently take student suggestions. They've had taste tests that have helped select items for menus. But then just knowing what is available and what you do have access to as a family can be a great way to make sure that your child is coming to school and getting all of the energy, all of the nutrition, everything they need to have a healthy and productive day and be ready to learn. And again, September, to Dr. Taylor's comments, is an important month for checking in on others, both other people and checking in on yourself. Oftentimes we hear phrases like see something, say something, and you think of it in terms of security, but it's just important when you see something, you have a friend or a classmate or a student who's exhibiting behavior that's noticeably different or just seems down. Maybe all they need is someone to just ask how they're doing, to see how their day is. Maybe they're just down or blue, but it could be something more serious. Oftentimes, there are students that could be experiencing potential, not just issues related to their mental health, but with physical health, with abuse, with substance abuse, a lot of things where just sometimes that check-in can make a very big difference in their lives. So I really would encourage everyone to kind of show some empathy, show some awareness this month, and really take an interest and concern in the well-being of your students and your community around you. And that applies not just to our students, but our teachers, our staff, and our parents as well. So, again, I applaud Dr. Taylor for all his remarks. I won't go into those and repeat those further. But an exciting new school year with some exciting opportunities ahead of us, and I look forward to hearing what our fellow board members have to say. And with that, I will turn to Ms. Gordon to lead us off tonight.
Thank you, Chair. I first want to acknowledge the student speakers that spoke tonight. Thank you for being solution seekers, problem solvers, and above all, advocating for what you believe. There is no greater joy than seeing and hearing our future leaders stand up and take an active role in advocacy around their learning and learning environments. Your words bear weight. I know they aren't here tonight, but I hope they're listening. Your words bear weight, and I say this all the time. We, all of us, are here at this table because of students. If there were no students, there would be no need for board. So I look forward to the night that there are more student speakers than anybody else. I also want to speak to something Chair Haggerty said about knowing and understanding your schools and the district's initiative around nutrition. I want to encourage everyone to follow on social media Wake County CNS. They have been doing a wonderful job with encouraging nutritious meals, and also putting out what we are serving every day, sharing great food, nutrition tips. I follow them, and the work that they are doing is phenomenal. And then finally, I want to say I am super excited that September 7th through 13th has been proclaimed as Arts Education Week. I want to take a moment to highlight why this recognition matters so deeply. Arts education is not an extra. As you heard this evening, the arts is a core academic subject. It is an essential part of well-rounded education that opens doors for students in ways that other disciplines can. Whether it is music, visual art, dance, or theater, the arts builds creativity, confidence, critical thinking, and collaboration. And they provide students with opportunities to express themselves, to see the world differently, and finally, to find joy in learning. And I want to close with a quote tonight that I heard from a parent that resonated with me deeply. Our kids always deserve better, and our educators deserve the best. I hope the 2025-26 school year has gotten off to a great start. Thank you.
Ms. Gordon, we'll go to Mr. Hershey.
Thank you, Chair. I want to welcome everyone back to traditional calendar schools. It's good to be back. I am happy to send my son back to school. I'm not the only parent who thinks that. I love him, though. It's also the start of the athletic season. We are about 2 weeks in to the fall sports, and I trust that our sportsmanship is on display with our athletic programs, with our students, but especially from our spectators and our parents, and comments being directed towards our student athletes along with officials. It's not an easy job. I know the officials are doing their best, and I do encourage anyone, because we are always needing officials, that if you don't like how we're doing, to please sign up and give it a try. We're happy to have you. A couple of other items. I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I just want to say thank you to Lindsay Mahaffey and the work that she's done on the school board over the last almost 10 years now. Our school districts are very different. She represented a district that often had reassignments, a lot of new schools opening. It's very different from my district, and there's a lot of stress and a lot of engagement that goes into her district, and it's a lot for anyone to go through, and I thought she really did a tremendous job representing her constituents, even though there would be disagreements. But she's a person who loves public schools, loves our public schools, and I appreciate her very much and her work on the board. Finally, I just want to say this. I always listen to the comments about books, and I will respectfully disagree with some of the stuff that was said tonight, but something very specific caught me, because we had another school shooting. This one was in Minnesota, or a couple of weeks ago. It hits home when it's elementary school students, especially for me. And I heard the comment about the books. At what point, do we feel shame for words in a book? And I just couldn't help but think, at what point do we feel shame as a country for doing absolutely nothing about guns and kids getting gunned down? I mean, this is a repeated repeated board comments from me over the last 2.5 years. I'm sure I'll be repeating it as long as I'm on the school board. I know individual school districts really try hard and do their best to keep students safe. But if we don't address the guns, no school district can turn schools into fortresses that are impenetrable. It's just not realistic. And these kids were praying. I mean, it's a continuation going all the way back to Columbine in the 1990s. When will we feel that shame? It seems like never. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ring.
Good evening. This past weekend, I had the chance to attend the annual Young Entrepreneurship Conference Award Ceremony, sponsored by the International Leadership Foundation and the North Carolina Asian American Coalition. Several teams of high schoolers from all over the Triangle participated in this competition to come up with some great ideas, entrepreneurial ideas that could help our society. And I am happy to say that 2 teams won in this competition from our own WCPSS. The second place went to a team of students from Green Level High School, and they proposed an in-car safety solution to detect drowsy and distracted driving. The third place, you already heard from Irvi and Arush Kokarni from Heritage High School, and you heard about their great idea. Congratulations to all the winners and all the other participants. I think they made their parents proud. Our first BAC meeting of the year will be on Monday, September 15th at 5:30. It will be held at Wakefield High School, and our special guests will be Mr. Michael Pesci, Director of School Social Work, and Ms. Michelle Woodson, who will give us a presentation on school mental health services. I think it's an appropriate time to look at mental health in our kids, and this will be an apropos topic. And I want to thank you to all the parents and staff who had contacted all of us regarding the vote on the calendar conversion. I want to thank the rest of the board who voted with me, and I want to thank the community and the staff who were willing to meet us halfway. I think it was in some ways it was a no-win situation, but we got something out of it that both sides had some benefit. I think in northern Wake County, where I am, we are seeing some decline in student enrollment, but I am hopeful that there will be a resurgence in the future as young couples look for older homes to start their family. I've seen that in the Northridge subdivision where I used to live, and I see it all everywhere around me. And by keeping single-track year-round format, I think we can preserve the possibility of going back if the demand requires it, and also preserving that year-round options gives our family the choice that they seek. And really, that actually brings up a topic that we have to kind of be honest with ourselves. We do live in a time where we have choice, parents have choice in education, and we live in a free market society, so we as a public school system have to compete with other choices, and we cannot be complacent in the way we do things, expecting that people will choose us automatically. When I was young, we only had 3 TV networks, and we watched what they give us, what they show us. But now we have hundreds, if not thousands, of options to view anything that we want, anytime that we want. And so, we cannot be complacent, and those 3 networks are not the kind of, the crown jewels that we think of, when we were growing up. So we cannot be complacent with, where we are, and we have a lot to be proud of course, but we need to understand that the forces that drives decisions, families' decisions about their children's education and what's important to them. Does the community believe that we are delivering on our mission statement? Are we focusing on teaching the essentials that children need? Are we fulfilling our duty to educate children with exceptional needs? And if we fail in our mission, parents will find out that we'll find somewhere else to fulfill their needs. And, we are celebrating this year opening 4 new schools. And I am happy that we can accommodate the growth in other parts of Wake County. But we cannot neglect to take care of our existing schools. We risk losing more market share when we don't take care of the schools that we already have. We must have clean and safe places for our children to learn in. After all, they spend a big chunk of their time there. So I commend the families who do have a choice and still choose to have their children go to public schools, despite having problems with the HVAC or doors that need fixing or bathroom facilities that need repair. I am glad that we are beginning to shift our focus in the coming years to take care of our existing schools, and I look forward to seeing what we can do to speed up the process of giving our aging schools a little more TLC in a more timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Edmonds.
Thank you. Many thanks to Yates Mill and Swift Creek Elementary Schools for welcoming me recently. And this week I am going to 5 District 5 schools: Dillard Magnet Elementary, Dillard Magnet Middle, Middle Creek High School, Westlake Elementary, and Centennial Magnet Middle School. So I'm very excited about these campus visits, and I thank the area superintendents that have worked with me to arrange these. Thank you to Athens Drive High School's Principal Boshoff for allowing me, Mr. Hershey, and some of our seniors facility staff to tour parts of their campus last week. They were extremely generous with their time, and it allowed me to see specifically some of the gym spaces that will benefit from their upcoming renovation next year. I would like to take a moment to spotlight all of our educators who showed up for students this new school year, even though state lawmakers are not showing up for you. We should have had a state budget by now, a budget that prioritizes public education and funds what educators need in their classrooms. A recent report shows that North Carolina's teachers are second in the nation for the most personal money spent on their classrooms. Our state ranks 43rd in teacher pay, yet our teachers are the second top spender out of their own pockets to fund their classrooms. As shameful and as embarrassing as that is, it makes sense when you consider that North Carolina is 48th in the nation in per pupil funding. Unfortunately, fixing these numbers and approving a state budget are not what state lawmakers are doing. In fact, they're on perpetual recess right now. Our educators, however, are not on recess. They're hard at work, all while North Carolina's corporate tax rate sits at 0, which means that corporations contribute nothing in the way of taxes to support these educators or their students. Educators started this new school year with no new state budget, but private school vouchers in our state will get more than $700 million this year alone in taxpayer money. Educators are not on recess. Our legislators shouldn't be either. They should be working daily to support our teachers and students in our public schools. Lastly, I want to express my deepest gratitude and respect for our school librarians and classroom teachers. This applies to you too. Last week, we updated some of our policies to be in compliance with HB 805, a bill that restricts student access to the freedom to read and learn. Those changes were not something this board wanted to do. It's a forced state mandate, one that I find offensive to your profession and your professionalism. So thank you for remaining committed to children and cultivating in them a love for learning and discovery, even in this time of censorship and overreach. I and so many others on this board, in the community, in our schools, appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll come back around the table to Ms. Rice.
Board Chair. In August, just before the traditional start of the school year, I had the pleasure of visiting Hodge Road, Knightdale, and Rogers Lane Elementary Schools, accompanied by the amazing Dr. Sarita Smith. Each visit offered a powerful snapshot of the exceptional work happening in our schools. At Hodge Road Elementary, Principal Dorsey and 3 enthusiastic students greeted us at the door with radiant smiles and a dual language welcome sign. Their warm greeting in both English and Spanish set the tone for what was an inspiring visit. The dual language immersion program at Hodge Road stands out as a model of excellence, clearly committing a rigorous collaboration and nurturing instruction. Every classroom I stepped into was buzzing with engagement. Students were active participants in their learning and genuinely enjoying the process. At Knightdale Elementary, I met with Principal Noah, a dynamic new leader with high expectations and clear vision. Their implementation of the crew model, which will help the see me, know me, engage me, challenge me, align with our student focus model, aligns perfectly with that student-centered approach. I was particularly impressed with the school's zero tolerance policy on bullying. It is a proactive, non-reactive, and I hope to see this approach model across the district at some point. Knightdale Elementary is setting the stage for strong academic and personal outcomes for students. And then I went to Rogers Lane Elementary. Although students were not yet in session during my visit at Rogers Lane, Principal Morgan provided a compelling overview of what's ahead. The academic growth here has been explosive, with many students moving from not proficient to proficient, which we know the next phase is pushing students from proficient to advanced. The progress already made is both significant and deserving of celebration. So I look forward to the upcoming school visits planned for District 4. In District 4, we are doing what? Empowering education and elevating communities. I also wanted to thank the Enloe and Southeast Raleigh Magnet High for a successful Southeast Raleigh Classic football game. I enjoyed every moment of the game and the connection with students, parents, and staff. An outstanding job to Principals Hardin and Jordan for hosting a safe and fun event, as well as Raleigh Ray's Development and Corey Branch for donating $7,000 to support each one of those schools. Just want to share a upcoming save the date updates for our BACs. Meeting, the next one will be October the 6th. We'll have a venue set momentarily. Also, for other opportunities to connect with Talking with T. Rice on Mondays at 12:15 to 12:45, you can visit the ToshibaRice.org site for that. And now, let's continue to work together to ensure all students are seen, known, engaged, and challenged. I want to thank everyone for their support and commitment in our schools as I visited them this past August. The final thing I want to say tonight is about a social wellness tip. I do apologize for the last board meeting. I did not make any board comments. I did get some feedback in reference to where was those wellness tips, but I was in my emotions for the moment, so please forgive me speaking about emotion. So what I want to do is talk about a social wellness tip about practice response, not reaction. When emotions run high, pause before responding. Taking a moment to breathe and think helps you respond with empathy and respect instead of reacting impulsively. This builds trust and promotes healthier communication. So we also want to own our impact. Even if your intentions were good, acknowledge when your actions hurt others. Being responsible for how we act, be responsible for how we affect those around us, not just what we meant to do, strengthening relationships and builds accountability. So on the way to learning how to do these things, I want to not reiterate the things that were said about mental health. As we all know, that is my thing, and I'm going to get a director at some point here. But I do want to remind us that things that we can say that are helpful and not. There are things the ways that we can learn more about how to say what's helpful and not helpful is taking a mental health first aid training. We have them in youth, teen, and adults, and we can utilize that curriculum that not only supports prevention but also intervention of suicide. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Caulfield.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to address our speakers tonight and all of the incredible emails that I've been receiving regarding 2 of our special teachers in District 1. Although we cannot always make all the changes that we wish we could, I wanted Harris Creek Elementary School educators and parents and our awesome, brave students that came to speak for us before us today, that I hear you, and we will continue to have these conversations. And to our 2 teachers that so many came forward to speak on behalf of, kudos. You have touched so many families, so many amazing students, and it's invaluable. So thank you for all of the work that you do. On September 29th, we will have our first Board Advisory Committee meeting at Wake Forest Middle School. And, sorry, I had said high school, so I want to make sure it's at the middle school. We'll be discussing safety and CNS, Child Nutrition Services. At the beginning of the year, I think it's good for all of us to go over protocols, safety updates and measures, expectations, and just refresh on important information. Programs like See Something, Say Something, but also programs like Be Smart, where it talks about the safety measures that we can all take in our home and in our lives. I know we all cover this in our schools at the beginning of each school year with our drills and our students. But I think as families, it is also a great opportunity to have these conversations at home and with each other. So parents, please look out for that information at home to have these important conversations with your children. We will discuss CNS so that we can share the information that people may need to know if they qualify and how to use the program and services available. I know with changes comes adjustment, and each new year brings newcomers to our schools, new policies and changes and adjustments to new schedules. I want to wish everyone a successful year ahead, including our principals, our teachers, guidance counselors, and bus drivers. And I want to recognize the hard work that it takes to put all of this together for our students. I would also like to invite all of our parents to sign up to volunteer at our schools and to be part of the village that it takes to help our children succeed. Most of us have heard that phrase time and again, it takes a village, and we are all part of that village, and that's a good thing. When good things come around to celebrate, we should all do that together. And in times of crisis, we all do the same. We support each other. This year, I would like us all to focus on that, being part of that village. It bonds us in unity, and it helps our children grow into well-rounded young adults. But this comes in many layers, and everyone has to play their part. I've been hearing a lot of talk surrounding safety. It's hard conversations about serious problems. I hear folks blaming guns as the reason for these horrific events, and I would really love for us to dig a little bit deeper. Whether it is a gun that has been obtained, another weapon, a car driven into a crowd, a bomb, or a threat of one. We've all seen these recent headlines. It's no more the weapon than it is the mental state of that individual that used it. Same as the person who used the pencil for hate mail, or the keyboard for bullying, or the internet or Snapchat or Instagram for bullying someone into suicide. We have to recognize the mental state of these individuals that are using these tools. We cannot simply take away every single tool. As shown in these many examples, there are many sources, and they will find another avenue. It is their mental state that is causing such tragedy and heartbreak. It affects everyone around us, and we cannot simply point the finger at the tool if we want to be serious about solutions. Our health, mental and physical, drives us each day, or it doesn't. Our emotional state stems from that. You exercise and you feel great, and your body physically undergoes a transformation. It is not a mystery when we look at the state of our children right here in America. We are some of the unhealthiest people in the world. Food, toxins, pharmaceuticals, social media, it all acts as a poison for our bodies, and yet in the name of convenience and money, we still load our worlds with it. We all recognize these things, but we seem to brush them under the rug. Children have developing minds and bodies, and we must recognize the environment that we put them in. If we're really serious about fixing these horrific outcomes, we must stop blaming the devices that are being used in these heinous acts. If we look a little deeper, if we really want solutions, check the mental health of all those around us, the climate we are raising our children in. I mean, we even have crowds of people that are heartlessly, inhumanely knocking people out and stomping on their faces to the death or point of brain damage or disfigurement. That is not even a weapon. This wasn't a gun, same result. It was a human being. It was the human being that criminal didn't accidentally get there the day that horrific or horrible crime was committed. It's the society, as adults in the room, are we proud of what this is creating in the name of progress? We are losing our children to screens, over-sexualizing, desensitizing, and blurring the worth of the family unit. Social media now feeds their minds and worth. ChatGPT has sexy little mates that become your friends or give you advice on how to properly commit suicide and ignore your parents' feelings and coach a beautiful young man to his death. Parents, please be aware of the dangers of these screens. While it is easy to blame a gun in the tragedy that just happened, it is easy to blame it on the guns. We all know that the tragedy happened long before that, and the result is now these poor families, the community, are in heartache. And nothing can undo that now. If we really want solutions, we will dig deeper and create a societal shift, one of compassion, family values, healthy relationships, purpose, and looking up at one another, not down. It starts at home, in our village. So it is going to take all of us to be part of the solutions to end these senseless acts. I do hope that everyone joins me in sharing prayers for these families that are affected in the recent news, because the power of prayer is what they need to try and navigate through this and find some peace in their hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll conclude tonight with Vice Chair Swanson.
Thank you, Chair Hegarty, and let me just say welcome back to all of our traditional calendar families and students, teachers, and staff. Last week, I had a very busy week out in District 9 in Western Wake, visiting numerous schools. On the first day of school, I had the opportunity to participate in carpool at East Cary Magnet Middle School with members of the Divine Nine. Also had a visit at both Davis Drive Elementary and Davis Drive Middle School. I also want to say that Davis Drive Elementary is celebrating their 30th anniversary this year. And stopped by Cary High School to see the great things that were going there on the first day of school. Second day or third day, I can't quite remember. Dr. Chavis had put together a very lengthy schedule, and I just followed along with them. We visited Northwoods Elementary School, Adams Elementary School, and I want to give a special thank you and a shout out to the aviators, the ambassadors who welcomed us and gave us a tour and shared some of their great things that they enjoy about Adams Elementary. Followed by a visit to West Cary Middle School, who was celebrating their 60th anniversary. Had a great visit at Reedy Creek Elementary, followed by the Reedy Creek Magnet Middle School, Weatherstone, who was also celebrating their 30th anniversary, and Kingswood, who also had some great ambassadors who welcomed us. And of course, we could not stop by Kingswood and not visit our Teacher of the Year, who is currently our Teacher of the Year, Wake County Public Schools. So I want to thank all those Western Wake principals for their warm welcome. And also wanted to thank Superintendent Green for hosting his kickoff for elevating North Carolina Public Schools at Centennial, where the chair, superintendent, and I had an opportunity to participate at the event. And really want to give a great thank you to Ms. Pittman for coordinating all of that. And since it is football season, I thought Mr. Hershey was going to talk about the Western Wake rivalry, since I had to be very biased. But I wanted to, give non-biased, I wanted to give a great shout out to both Apex and Cary High for their 100th, for the centennial anniversary of the old Western Wake rivalry game, where I was joined by board member Hershey and Mahaffey. And it was a great game, and Cary High pulled it off. I believe the score was 25-10, and then they recently defeated Athens this Friday. So great job to both. And finally, I just want to also thank Ms. Mahaffey for her service here for WCPSS. And when I joined the board, she was the chair, and it's not easy for the work that we do, but I think she did an outstanding job, to Mr. Hershey's point, centering the needs of the families in western and southwestern Wake County. And so thank you all, and those are my comments. And Mr. Chair, if you're ready, I would make a motion that we return to closed session.
Thank you, Vice Chair Swanson. We do have a motion to return to closed session for the statutory reasons stated in the work session. Avoiding the rush, I have a second from Mr. Hershey. Unless there's any discussion or any debate, I'll move to a vote on returning to closed session. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll reconvene in the board conference room. Thank you very much.